Hi, everyone. Am I live? I think I'm live. I'm trying to be live in all the different places at all the different at the same time. So I wanted to come on today and tell you guys I'm just having the most like spacious day today, and I'm thinking about just like how far I've come in my relationship to busyness. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, my relationship to busyness. So this morning, like I looked at my calendar last night and I was like, wow, I don't really have anything until 11. So I slept in a little bit. I cuddled with my kid in bed for like a half an hour, and I did my gratitude practice outside in the garden for a few minutes. I even like sat down and was doing a puzzle with my almost 3 year old, and I had a little breakfast, and then I came to the studio, and instead of getting on the computer, I just like got I'm here at the studio, and I went in the Pilates room and I just got on my mat. And I ended up being like 15 minutes late to my first meeting, which is with my thriving studio owner assistants, my virtual assistants, Cat Wings and Kate. I texted them and I was like, I'm sorry, the clock in this room is slow. And here I am like in the middle of like my third vignette, my yoga vignette. And I still need to do my other side and Shavasana and all this stuff. So anyways, I finally like started working at like 11:15. We had a short meeting. I had like a little bit of lunch, and then I had my call, and like, I have a little bit of time right now, so I wanted to come on here. I'm getting ready to deliver this weekend program. So I'm working with. I got to tell you guys about this. So I'm working with mostly my masterminders. I have a couple of other people coming in this weekend, but we're doing a virtual weekend. And I'm helping these studio owners, mostly Pilates and yoga studio owners, develop their first high-end offering. And I've just been fascinating this week on like how much spaciousness I've had in my schedule. And I want you guys to know that like this is not normal for a small business owner in the middle of a pandemic who's also a mother of two. And it definitely wasn't normal for me. Like in my early days as a small business owner, this would have never been possible for me to just like roll in, do my practice, like have a meeting around 11:15, and then like have another break later, and then like I'll be home by 5:30 today. And it's just I kind of can't believe it. So I just want you guys to know like what a radical choice it is to not be busy, to not be seduced by busyness in our society right now, or overwhelm. And how much I have consciously chosen this is like and I sometimes talk to my one of my team members, my Facebook ad strategist, about this, and he's like, "You're not like other business owners I work with." Like, because I'm always telling him like, "Well, I have enough people coming in because I don't really want to work more than 4 days a week, and I have life outside of entrepreneurship. I have my family that I want to take care of." And he's like, "You're not normal. Like, this is not normal." And I think for me, like, there's a part of me that, like, the rebel in me that just feels like, no, like, I've been there, done that. I've worked 80-hour weeks for peanuts. For years, I did that, especially when I was a baby studio owner with my first business. And like, that was unsustainable. It just was the path to burnout. And in a lot of ways, when I was in the slug of that, of like working so hard and sacrificing so much for my business, I oftentimes would wake up like, why am I doing this? It's like, I'm not even making enough money to justify this. And it just felt like an uneven exchange. Is like this much time, this much busyness, this much life force for like what I'm getting back, even though, obviously my business here, the Pilates and yoga studio, was very soul satisfying. Like that just wasn't enough, quite frankly. It really wasn't enough. Like I needed for it to be financially sustainable, for me to be in integrity with it. And I needed to have more time because I wanted to be a mom, like I wanted to be the kind of mom that I was proud to be, like the kind of mom that could show up for her kids and be there for the things, the last swimming class, or, the recital, or any of that stuff. Or like even just yesterday, I left a little bit early to take my kid to a socially distant play date in like someone's backyard, like another first grader that she had never met before in real life, and it's just so cool to be in a place now where I have like consciously chosen to not be busy. People like, before the pandemic, like, I'd have people reach out to me like, hey, I'm in town from Seattle and you want to go get a cup of coffee? I know you must be so busy. And I'm like, I'm not that busy. Let's go have a cup of coffee, But I just want to acknowledge that like, it's a radical choice to not be busy. It's like and for any of you guys who are interested and started to pull this into your life more of like not being busy, I really think that like the pandemic is like maybe showing a lot of us like what it feels like to not be busy. And okay, yes, it's swung like really far the other side. Like I don't know about y'all's, but especially in the last week, I've been really craving like more friends, like more like adults, like just more connection. But I do think for a lot of us, the pandemic is showing us what it feels like to not have so many things on our plate and just to be stretched so thin. And I also want to acknowledge, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I started consciously playing with not being so busy, there was a lot of like spiritual growth for me in there. Like, I had to learn how to say no more often. I had to become better at boundaries, like more clear in my boundaries. And I also, when I started to like make some choices in my businesses and in my life to not be so busy, I realized that I actually had a lot of anxiety underneath. So like, my busyness was actually like a coping mechanism for the anxiety, the low level anxiety that was just like hanging out under the surface, and maybe that was like part of my like workaholism and my addiction to work in those, especially in those early years of small business ownership. It really felt like an addiction, where I literally like couldn't put it down. I couldn't let it go. And I do remember there was like a turning point for me when, my husband at one point said to me, like, you know what, hon, it's like you're here in the house, but you're not really here. And he still sometimes says that to me where he's like, you're like, sometimes your brain is elsewhere, even though you're physically here. So that's, for me, that's something I'm still working with is like, because the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, you can wake up and go to sleep thinking about your business. And I am as guilty of that as anyone. Is like, I love my businesses. Like I love them. I think about them all the time. So I've had to really practice not only setting boundaries with others, but setting boundaries with myself. Like don't make your mind so busy. Like there's a time for creation of a syllabus. There's a time for marketing. There's a time for all the things, the staff meetings and stuff. But like, you don't have to think about that after like 6 p.m. every night. Like you really don't, and I want to say like, I feel like extremely grateful that and very privileged that I've had the opportunity to build two businesses that allow me to have that kind of freedom, That is why I love teaching my people in the Thriving Studio Owner program, like how to create that kind of nervous system freedom. Because it's not just like the money, it's not just, the teams and the systems that help you create the time. It's like you can create the time and still feel really anxious, inside. You can create the money and still feel really anxious inside. So how do you create that nervous system freedom, that allows you to step off the busy train and just be like, no, I refuse. I refuse the busy train. Like I let it pass. Like that's not the game I'm going to play. And I think there's so much pressure to play that game, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but like, I know I used to get in conversations with people, colleagues, and like, you realize that like, you're just having a conversation, like one-upping each other. It's like, well, I'm so busy because of that. And this, well, me too. And it's kind of like becomes like bragging rights of how busy you are. It's like, no, I don't do that anymore. And I actually like totally relish in like finding ways in my two businesses to make myself less busy and have more of an impact, like really meaningful impact, like soulful impact on my clients, on my staff. Like how can I serve at my absolute highest level without a lick of self-sacrifice, like one lick, And so I'm always looking at inside at like, okay, if something's not in alignment for me, is like no longer working for me, what empowered choices can I make to change it, to call in more support, to like make my systems a little tighter so that it doesn't mean like chaos all the time. I'm getting some comments here. Let's see. Elizabeth says, I was just talking about this today in my coaching call. Yeah, totally. I'm so glad we're all on the same train. Yeah, totally. So I'm curious, y'all, is like, what is your relationship to busyness right now? And how are you, especially right here, like 7 or 8 months into the pandemic, like how are you working with the call to busyness? Have you developed any like new strategies to create more nervous system freedom? Like, I'm just so curious what you guys all have to say about the busyness trap. So leave that in the comments below. And I'm wishing you a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. Wish me luck delivering my new program to these amazing studio owners. They're gonna like come out of this weekend just like on fire and with their new high-end offer and this like upper, like high level of service. And I just cannot wait to see them blast out the gate on Monday. So I'll see y'all on the flip side. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.